During Jimmy Carter's term as president, the most prolific speech he gave was a crisis of confidence. In this speech, President Carter reflected on how he believed the United States has changed.
We've always had a faith that the days of our children would be better than our own. For the first time in the history of our country, a majority of our people believe that the next 5 years will be worse than the past 5 years.
Although this speech was meant to motivate the citizens of the United States, the belief that hundreds of generations of humans have had for millions of years relates directly to why survival has occurred and plagued the world. This is why society needs to change the way survival is conveyed to the younger generations so people do not continually hurt the already weakened structural supports of civilization. In Cormac McCarthy's The Road, his telling of what a post-apocalyptic world would be like is able to clearly articulate what he believes society is and how it needs to change. In the modern-day world, there are multiple examples to what degree society agrees, disagrees, or qualifies with McCarthy's claim. In The Road, due to society's actions, the world has become a doom-laden wasteland of death and despair. The story follows a man and a boy that are simply trying to survive. Their goal is to reach the coast in hope of warmer weather. Throughout their journey, the two encounter multiple other groups of survivors that are in situations like their own. McCarthy shows how the two groups interact. At the end of their journey, the man perishes and the boy finds a small glimmer of hope when he joins with another group. As shown in these specific examples of the women predicting what will happen to their family when they get caught by the bandits, and an encounter between the boy, the man, and another survivor, people are willing to give up their ethics and humanity in order to survive in the destroyed world, and is the reason why situations like these played out the way they did. Similar to the duo of the man and the boy, team sports have started to dominate the field of the percentage of children involved with a team rather than in an individual event. And as time has climbed on, the switch to an all-for-one and one-for-all mentality has come into play in sports and contradicts McCarthy's claim. According to Sports Fitness Industry Association, in 2014, the top 3 most played sports from ages 6 to 17 are basketball, soccer, and baseball, which disagrees with McCarthy's stance because the leading sports in the United States are team sports where the focus is the success of a unit and not the individual. As well as people are beginning to see that team sports provide kids with important lessons on personal values that individual sports are not able to provide, and can be used as a teaching tool for the definition of survival. Another area that can be inspected and learned from is the business world. Within the world of business, there are many examples that support and do not support McCarthy's claim. One such example that disagrees with his claim is Bill Gates. Although Bill Gates is often considered one of the crudest businessmen in the past century, he always donates a bulk of his earnings to charity, which shows his ethics and humanity are still intact despite his reputation. Although there are businessmen like Bill Gates in the United States, the vast majority of them do not participate in his philanthropic ways and use capitalism solely as an avenue to earn money. The United States, though, is fueled by the competition that arises from capitalism. The cutthroat mentality where there is no ethics and humanity is the reason the U.S. succeeds when other socialist countries do not. If everyone in the world were to be how McCarthy would hope, there would be little progress. Unfortunate but true, there have been examples of cannibalism in history. One such example occurred in 1972, when a rugby team's plane crashed in the Andes Mountains. After days and weeks of starvation, the team was led to lay thin strips of frozen flesh aside on a piece of sheet metal and then consume it. When the time came to choose between their survival and humanity, they chose survival. Another event of cannibalism was one of the most tragic westward events that has occurred in the United States. It happened when the Donner Party had to resort to cannibalism in order to survive Nevada's harsh winter. Again, people were given the opportunity to choose between life and ethics, and life always prevailed. Each instance of cannibalism supports McCarthy's claim and makes people reflect on the definition of survival and how it needs to change so that these events stop happening. According to Isaac Newton, for every action there is an opposite and equal reaction. Similar to Newton's third law of motion, for every opinion there is an opposing opinion. The opposing opinion to McCarthy's claim is the current definition of survival, and how the younger generations are taught it is the reason that countries like the United States continually thrive and dominate the world. Survival and capitalism go hand in hand with progress because capitalism is the most reliable motivator there is and harnesses self-interest. The self-interest that capitalism harnesses is the reason progress is made. People want to better themselves, which leads to invention and innovation, which thus improves society as a whole. And this is a valid argument because it has been being made for centuries, and the world continues to move on. Cormac McCarthy's take on what a post-apocalyptic world would be similar to was a statement for how he believes the ethics and humanity of society should be, which sounds good in theory, but in practice these ethics are rarely upheld. Society's take on what McCarthy thinks goes to extremes from team sports that disagree completely to what McCarthy thinks, to examples of cannibalism that supports McCarthy, to even the business world which qualifies his claim, and have differing opinions. If society wants the next 5 years to be better than the last 5 years, then there needs to be a change in how survival is conveyed.